You're tuned into the Boba Bunch Podcast, Conversations of a Silicon Valley Sisterhood. Season 1, Boba Part 1. Is there pumpkin spice boba? Grab a drink, get settled, and let's hop right in. Hi, and welcome to the very first Boba Bunch Podcast. We are four 30-somethings living in the Silicon Valley, doing things that are not elite. We're very normal people just living our lives, and we are sharing some of that with you. I am Katrine. I have been in the Bay Area for maybe 8-9 years. Still not very familiar with the area, so love boba, obviously, and we'll talk a little bit more about boba later. I'm going to pass the mic on to my friend.
Hello, my name is Lucia. I've been living in Silicon Valley since the end of 2010. I was born here, but not raised. I'm sure we'll have more discussions about that in the future. Another fellow boba lover. Can't wait to chat more about that. And I will pass on to our other friend.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I'm also a boba lover, so that works out. Living, working here in Silicon Valley. Been in the Bay Area almost all my life, except for a few years. But yeah, been just mainly hanging around here. I don't have an interesting story of living in another country and growing up somewhere else. Just born in the Bay Area, lived in the Bay Area, still here in the Bay Area. Pass it on to my other friend who's also in the Bay Area.
Hi, I'm Jean. I've been in the Bay Area for about 6-ish years. For me, I'm the person who will definitely substitute drink social for boba social.
Nice. So you've met us four, and we're all boba lovers here. So let's talk about why are we called the Boba Bunch? I mean, obviously, we're a bunch of people who love boba, and we love everything, the entire culture associated with boba, whether it's drinking or just socializing or the food. So we will definitely be talking a little bit about that. But yeah, so for today, on our very first debut episode, we're going to start off talking about boba, of course. For each episode, we're going to have a boba drink with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we're drinking. So today, and this is not sponsored, we got drinks from the Boba Guys. And if you don't know about the Boba Guys, it is a chain that is pretty much all over the US now. One of the co-founders, Andrew Chow, is really awesome. He and his partners have really pushed for the boba culture and also advocated for Asian American justice, as well as pushing for the knowledge of Asian American history here in the US. So we're very proud today to be drinking Boba Guys. I have the Hong Kong milk tea. I am from Hong Kong. And every time I go to a boba shop and I see Hong Kong milk tea, I just have to order it to see if it's actually authentic. That's how I test if a boba place is authentic. So far, it's pretty decent. It's got that black tea flavor that I like. Got the milk, which as an Asian person, kind of concerned about drinking milk, but that's okay. We still love milk tea anyway. So Lucia, what are you drinking?
Today, I am drinking the blueberry corn milk seasonal drink. I am that person that I love boba. I love regular milk tea. I love jasmine green tea. Like, I like all the classics, but I cannot resist a seasonal flavor. And Boba Guys always delivers every season. This is awesome. I love the subtle corn flavor. I love the blueberry, and I did get almond jelly. Pudding is definitely one of my favorite toppings, and their almond jelly I really like because it still has a puddingy texture and flavor to it, and this is definitely making me happy today. I can't wait to try something different. Crystal, what did you get?
I actually got a ube latte, which I've never tried from Boba Guys before. I am kind of biased because of the color. A lot of us are fans of the color purple, but I imagine if purple had a flavor, it would be ube. And my mind did not go to grape. Um, and I got it with just, plain honey boba, which, is always a good choice. And I remember liking boba before, where years ago I always just thought of it as pearl drinks. I don't know if you guys knew it as that too. And then when boba came out, I was like, what's boba? And then I saw it and I was like, oh, that's pearl drinks. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking today, and it's good. I like it. It has the texture of like the actual like kind of like a clay putty kind of texture. That sounds bad, but it's good. It's like Play-Doh that tastes good kind of thing. How about you, Jin? What are you drinking?
I'm also drinking the ube latte. One of the biggest reason, actually, I have trouble ordering in the boba place for a long while because I'm lactose intolerant, typical Asian. Yep, and so I'm super glad to see that they are able to substitute the milk with different types of milk drinks. But for the ube latte, it's actually coconut milk, so there's no dairy. Yeah, and I really like it, and I like the coconut flavor, to be honest, and also the chewy, squishy boba is the best.
Yeah, chewy, squishy boba. Well, what Crystal was saying about the taste of purple. Now I've been thinking about like what else would purple taste like besides grape, and ube. Yeah, I think purple is a very special color. I'm going on a detour here to talk about purple because I love purple, and I think everyone here has an affinity towards purple as well. It is a very calming sort of color, and represents all the good in the world. So what else about boba? We were talking about what to call boba. I mean, there's so many names, and I know that folks over at the East Coast calls them different things. Like there's tapioca drinks, right? There's boba, there's milk tea, and in Asia, there are also many, many, many names for it. But I guess here in California, we're just calling it boba now, right?
I know I lived in the Central Valley for a while, and my first introduction was bubble tea. Yeah, so that was probably the first name I knew it by, and I loved it immediately. But yeah, you put tapioca, bubble, pearl, boba in front of me. I mean, I know I want it. I don't know, I can't think of any other names, but
I don't know. When I hear tapioca, it makes me think of like some old pudding. Yeah, that like my grandma had good taste. But like something my grandma would eat or something. Whenever people call it like tapioca drinks, I don't think of boba for some reason. But yeah, I like Katrina was saying, here in California, it's kind of like an understanding that it's just boba across the board, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, and I think it took a while to get here too, because even when the craze started, or even before then, there's that different regional, even within Northern California. Like I went to school at Davis, which is a small town, and we knew it as tapioca. I think tapioca because we had Tapioca Express, and then later on, it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, that's we're gonna go get bobas, and that kind of picked up steam. I think somehow. I know it myself as boba just because like I said, I'm from Hong Kong, and we use the actual Chinese term boba to describe like the large tapioca balls that come with the drinks. So it was actually kind of nice in a way to hear my language being used appropriately, correctly. That's new to me. So yeah, that's why it's really good to kind of gather together over the shared interest of boba. And now boba has become something that's beyond Taiwanese, beyond Chinese, beyond being Asian. Everyone just knows what it is. is becoming like the new Starbucks, which is kind of amazing. Just thinking about 20 years ago, nobody knows what it is.
I also have a bit of a detour thought on this. Speaking about how it has become more mainstream and is branching out. And so I'm curious how everyone here feels about seeing, recently at Pete's Coffee, I've noticed that they're putting jelly. I think they have brown sugar jelly for some of their drinks. And then I also saw a social media post about Jamba Juice having like fruit flavored. I don't know if they were calling it boba or if they were calling it tapi. I don't know what they were calling it, but basically it was very obviously boba to me. So on one hand, I think it's cool that it's getting more exposure and being introduced to a whole new audience, but then you do wonder where things turn a little too Frankenstein-y or I don't know. I'm just really curious if the rest of you have any thoughts about it.
Yeah, I've seen those, and it seems like everyone is trying to cash in on this craze. And whether they call it tapioca or boba or not, I mean, it's the whole new thing about having toppings in drinks, and that's new. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I felt like it became a very commercial thing, like, without truly actually knowing, why boba was the boba balls were in the drinks to begin with. They just decided to kind of run with the trend. I mean, I think it's fine in that, that gives people more option. But at the same time, it is kind of strange because, for example, we'll take Jamba Juice. I really don't associate that kind of, like, fruity shakes. How does that relate to toppings in boba? So I personally haven't tried it yet, but I have seen ads for it and seeing all the other coffee chains also kind of following the trend. But yeah, any other thoughts?
I'm thinking that it just kind of reminds me of the next gen fusion food, the kind of feeling. Yeah.
I guess going back to that, how it's like everybody's trying to jump on the trend. Like, I like going to theme parks, and there's a particular theme park that I think a lot of you would think of as the theme park. I'm not going to say the name, but they have created drinks where it has boba in it, like toppings, like popping boba, but it'll have a cute name associated with some of their characters, and it'll just say popping balls, so it's not like they're crediting it that it's boba. But yeah, just seeing like big places like that jumping on the trend, is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like years later, like you saw it as like a very niche like thing that you would order in the past, but now everybody is doing it mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, I'm very torn about this because in a way it's nice that, it is very mainstream and everyone knows about it, so that nowadays I can find a boba shop every other corner, which is amazing because as an Asian kid growing up in the US, like I said, I always refer back to 20 years ago when there really was nothing. Especially for someone like me from Central Valley, I had to make a trip out to the Bay Area if I wanted to get anything Asian, because there weren't that many markets or that carry the products that I was used to. So nowadays, where it's just everywhere. So in a way, it's nice that it is accessible now. But sometimes I do have to take a step back and be like, well, are you actually appreciating boba, or are you really just, like I said, cash in on this trend? But yeah, no matter what, though, I'm glad to have drinks. I'm glad to have the space to hang out with my friends over boba drinks. So, but yeah, this is, we're in the middle of October as we're recording this, and things are finally cooling down in the Bay Area. I don't know for folks who are local here, very strange heat waves in the past couple of months. So glad that we're finally cooling down. And of course, in about 2 weeks, Halloween is coming. And I know that we have several friends here who are pretty big on Halloween. So I wanted to ask these friends, what do you do for Halloween? Now, I just want to say first, like, I don't, like, my family doesn't really celebrate Halloween, so I've never dressed up, but I do like going to work and seeing people dressed up. So what are some of your favorite costumes and favorite Halloween memories?
I definitely love Halloween. You know how some people start decorating for Christmas in August or now. That's me with Halloween. It's kind of a theme around my place. And I I don't really know where the huge affinity for it started. I do have very positive memories of being a small child, and as I mentioned earlier, I was born in the Bay Area, but I wasn't raised in in the Bay Area, and so I do have wonderful memories of growing up in a very small town where all the kids could go out and go trick or treating for hours, and even though I'd have to wear a snowsuit underneath my costume because it was snowing and freezing. It was a really great time, and I do remember wearing the same dragon costume for like 5 years in a row, basically until it would not fit me anymore. So that was a favorite. And then in general, as an adult, I will theme. I will dress thematically. I will wear Halloween earrings, stuff in my hair. I'll wear t-shirts, all year round. I'll wear like Nightmare Before Christmas. But around now I can break out. Actually, I do have quite a few Disney ones, like Mickey Vampire, stuff like that. In terms of celebrating, though, I do start a horror movie marathon in September, so I do kind of have like a 2-month horror movie marathon going. I've consumed quite a bit in the past month. That could be a whole other show, but that's it's just a fun. I feel weird saying horror's fun, but if you like it, you like it, and it's a kind of a fun escape, and I enjoy not just horror. I also really enjoy like Nightmare Before Christmas and Hocus Pocus, and I don't know if anyone else has seen the new Hocus Pocus yet, but okay. We have some friends that have, some that haven't, but it's, I always love that cutesy side of it and whimsical side of it as well. I also really enjoy cooking themed food throughout the month, and especially on Halloween. I just, even if it's like a pumpkin-shaped loaf of bread. I don't know what word I just made there. But it's, hot dog mummies. I love to do hot dogs and then wrap a crescent roll around them and bake them. I'm basically like an elementary school child, but there's just something fun about it, and a different type of escapism that I really enjoy longer during the year than most people, but I could definitely talk about Halloween all day. But I'd love to hear from somebody else that is also a Halloween.
So yes, I do like Halloween as well. I am into creepy things. I don't know why. Maybe it just manifests a lot of emotions out of me. I don't know. I am scared of the things I watch. I will watch scary movies. People will ask me, why do you watch them if you're scared? And I'm always like, well, why? That's the whole point of them. If they're not scary, they're not good movies. Same thing with video games. I will play scary video games. It will take a lot out of me. There's a lot of pausing going on, a lot of turning on the lights, a lot of not letting other people leave the room. But I feel like there's a sense of bravery that I get. Like, I leveled up in my bravery if I do get through the game, so maybe it's a sense of accomplishment from playing these scary games. But then, on the flip side, the negative effects is that I'm scared of everything. Like, I will not leave closet doors cracked open. Every light turns on in the house, in every room that I'm on. Like, my PG&E bill will just be, probably higher during October. I believe in scary things, or else I wouldn't be scared of them, so I believe in ghosts. I can't say that I don't, or else I wouldn't be scared of them. And I'm actually going to like a haunted walkthrough tomorrow. And I am frightened, but I was told a lot of people would be attending. And so I am banking on them to be like human shields. And maybe I'll take off my glasses and it'll be less scary and that's what I'm hoping on. So I do like going to like fake haunted walkthroughs. I don't know if I would go to a real one, but those things are always fun to me, except for when I'm actually there in the moment.
Yeah, strength in numbers. That's that is the strategy for conquering these things. I am not a fan of horror. Not because I'm scared, but mostly because it doesn't do much for me. I'm the kind of person who you don't want to go to a scary movie with, because I'm someone who just sit there and start analyzing the special effects and be like, well, that's just fake. Well, that's not scary. Well, why didn't he or she do this and this instead? And that's probably why nobody invites me to horror movies. But yeah, that's fine. I still kind of enjoy being an observer during Halloween and hearing about other folks' reactions. But yeah, what are I guess outside of haunted houses and costumes, I mean, what are some other things that you enjoy about, I guess, just holidays in general? I mean, we are coming up on the holiday season. We have several holidays coming up here in the US. And I myself am ramping up to that mood because like what Lucia said earlier, I think even since July, there has been a lot of Christmas items in stores, which I do feel like every year it starts earlier and earlier. Eventually, it will just be in stores every day of the year. And there's nothing wrong with it. I love Christmas. But yeah, is there something that you like or don't like? Like, for example, I know some people really dislike the family part of holidays. um, like, and the thing with that is it's hard to get out because other people know that you have the holiday off, so they will ask you, "When are you coming home?" Any stories there? I'm kind of curious.
I mean, not I won't get too deep into a story necessarily, but I will just say that before working at the current place, my former employer was open 24/7, 365 or 366 depending on the year, and there definitely were holidays that I did not mind picking up. Volunteering. I don't have children, so I always felt, even though there may have been a different motive behind it, I always felt like, hey, I can help. I would much rather see you be able to spend the time at home with your children, and it's no big deal for me to be at work instead. And sometimes it was nice not to have to deal with whatever stresses can come along with those particular holidays. And yeah, I can admit to that. I think that's the other thing about Halloween and also being childless is it's kind of like a selfish holiday for me, because I really actually love trick-or-treaters. I'm so excited when I get a trick-or-treater. I don't hate children. Like, don't get that idea. But for me, it's something I can just kind of enjoy on my own terms, enjoy with who I want to and if they want to in turn, and not have to deal with the stresses of, Thanksgiving, Christmas. There's always some kind of demand to perform in a way, whether it's cooking, having a gift. Sometimes it's even like having to have that social battery that maybe I don't know, like mine runs out kind of quickly. And so I don't always have a multi-day, just like having to be around a lot of people for multiple days. I don't really have that in me. So Halloween's definitely a less intense. There's no expectations except for what I want for my experience to be.
Yeah, I think Halloween is a more easily digestible holiday because it's not really celebrated with family per se. Like I'll stay home, pass out candy. It's not like I have to go to like 5 different houses to go celebrate Halloween. I've never seen that movie. I think it was called Four Christmases, but I get the gist, right? You go to different families' homes throughout the day. I've done that. It's very tiring. That's what I find exhausting about the holidays. Especially like if you have a partner, you have to go to their families and your families, and then if you have divorced parents, you got to go to their house and then your other parents' house, and then and people keep having kids, and I get it. It's supposed to be a magical season, and I get into that moment. But then there's those times where my wallet isn't. Like, I'm trying to set rules where it's like the adults don't need gifts. Maybe I'll buy for people's kids, but there were less kids before. Yes, especially during the pandemic, a lot of children came about out of nowhere. So I think this holiday there might be more presents that I have to budget for. And as Lucio was saying, there are some situations where you wanted to create like an excuse for not attending. The past 2 years has provided me that with with COVID, where it's like, I don't want to get together, we don't want to get sick. And I really didn't. But at the same time, it's also that excuse where like I can just stay home on Christmas and just not have to rush from house to house all over the place and be pressured to like put on a show. So I guess this year will be the first time in a while where we'll get back into that norm, and let's see if it'll be just as uncomfortable as it was before.
That sounds like the real horror story here for some reason. I swear we love kids and we have nothing against families. But yeah, I mean the world has been different. The world came out different after these 3 years because of COVID. And here in the Bay Area, I mean, I'm just starting to see some kind of normalcy. Like, there's more traffic again. Not something that I'm happy about, but people are, walking about and things is just starting to turn normal. But at the same time, there's still that kind of looming feeling of, COVID is still here. It's still around. And every time I go to a social engagement, there's still that concern of, how many people will be there, what is the venue like, and I personally feel like that feeling is not going to go away, especially given our experiences through the last 3 years. So this holiday season, if you have the opportunity and want to get together with your family, please do so. I think if anything, it does remind me that you really don't know what might happen. I mean, just 3 years ago, like back in 2019, we were all just carrying on with our daily lives, and then all of a sudden, all of that was on pause. Yeah, it in retrospect, it's really has been crazy. Like it really affects, the way we think about the world and about life. At least for me, it does. And having this opportunity to reevaluate what's important to us. So maybe, I don't know, maybe this Halloween I'll just go and dress up as something, because why not? I haven't done this in my entire life. I don't know what I would dress up as yet. My partner has dressed up as Sriracha all his years. Maybe I have to pick another condiment. I don't know. What would you all dress up as? Speaking of, has anyone thought of costume ideas?
Maybe not for me, but for you. Just some inspiration from the sriracha, like sushi or something.
I actually went in the condiment theme, another good pairing, a Kewpie mayo. And then together you could be sriracha mayo. And then we do need some sushi to put that on as well. So, oh yes, Cora. Sorry, one of our pets here, one of our mascot pets, could be a lovely little sushi. That'd be so cute.
You know, as a dog owner, I did spend most of my time looking at costumes for my dog instead of for myself. I don't know. It's fun to dress up someone else or some other thing than myself. And I think there's been a huge advancement in pet costumes lately. So I gotta think about it. I'm sure my dog hates it. Like she hates it if I put anything on her. she'll she'll um she'll freeze. Like she will not move. She's like, "What is this? I cannot move anymore." And she'll just stay in one place until I remove it. So yeah, that's okay. I usually just put something on her and I take a photo and then have to remove it. But I guess I have to look into sushi and sriracha mayo this year. That's a suggestion. But yeah, I don't know. Like Halloween to me, it's always a holiday. It's strange for me to even call it a holiday because it is a celebration. It isn't something that everybody I know celebrates, but it has always been there. It's more like a cultural kind of a fest. Yeah, Jen was saying it's like a festivity sort of thing, and everyone is just in the mood for it. But you know, for me, maybe my neighborhoods have never been very big on Halloween either. So I was never part of that. Like no one ever comes to my door to trick or treat. So I end up just eating all the candies by myself. And you know, you also wait for the day after candy sales. Exactly, 50% off. I'm a Kit Kat person. What kind of candies do you like?
I mean, I just like candy, unfortunately. Definitely anything in the Reese's universe. Oh God, I my favorite candy bar that I swear I can't find here, but when I go back to the Midwest is Nutrageous, and it's like it's got the Reese's peanut butter. It has peanuts, caramel. I don't know, just that whole textural adventure. Anything with peanut butter, but I won't say no to pretty much anything. So
I'm with you on the Reese's. Like I love Reese's so much, but it's a problem because there's someone in my household who chose to live with a nut allergy.
wow.
So those things are dangerous within my household. They're deadly if you just leave them laying around. It's not like the person's gonna go pick up and eat them, but you can't. You have to wash your hands. You gotta like throw away the wrapper and make sure you don't leave it out, kind of thing. Yeah, maybe shouldn't like breathe on them with like nut allergens. They'll go into the air. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like the more chocolatey things. So like Reese's is huge for me. I like the cookies and cream Hershey's. Those are really good. I'm not too keen on like the sour candies anymore. Like when I was little, I was, but nowadays it's like the taste is too strong. Like it kind of hurts my mouth. Like if I eat Sour Patch Kids or Warheads. Yeah. Airheads. I don't know if it's because I'm an adult and I'm becoming more practical. Like when I eat like Airheads and something like taffy like, then I feel like, oh God, like this is burning cavities into my teeth. It's making my teeth crooked. Then I'm gonna have a higher bill at the dentist or get my teeth fixed again. I don't know why my mind goes there, but yeah, I'm more of a fan of the chocolatey things, I'd say. Fruity things, sometimes. Like high chews, I'm okay with. Not really a fan of sour things, but
Sad. I'm not a candy person. An outlier here.
It's not sad for us because we can eat the candy that falls into your lap and exchange it for something else with you. Sorry, this is a really weird aside before I get to your candy, but something from also growing up in the Midwest and small towns was, and thinking about peanut butter specifically, I lived somewhere where people would actually make homemade treats and pass them out during Halloween, during trick-or-treating. And, popcorn balls, candy apples, like really serious stuff like that. But one of the best things, I'll make it for all of you one day, it's called Scotcheroos. And it's like this Rice Krispie treat that's peanut butter and corn syrup, just forget about that. And then like butterscotch and chocolate on top. Oh my God. as long as we don't have any nut allergy friends around us. It's amazing, amazing, amazing.
So it sounds like we are gonna have a treat making episode. That's what this sounds like. But yeah, I'm also a big fan of Reese's peanut butter cups. It's actually one of the first candies I had when I first came to the U.S. And my grandma had a candy jar. And she'd go to Costco and buy those big mixed bags and then fill it in, and then I'll just pick out all the Reese's peanut butter cups and leave all the others. Yeah. But I also it just reminded me of a time because I also like putting them into the fridge first. So when it's chilled, it's actually even better. That's my opinion anyway. But secondly, today I learned that peanut allergy is apparently a choice. I also live with someone who chose to have a peanut allergy, so I totally understand how difficult it might be. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. I also feel like as I get older, I'm not much of a candy person anymore. But back in the days, like when I was in middle school, it's like Laffy Taffy, Airheads, like everything from the school snacks place. Like I'll just buy up everything, and you can like I could drink like maybe 6 cans of soda and not think about it. But now like half a can, I'm just like. So that has been very interesting to see. Like sometimes like I don't feel old, but my body tells me otherwise. Yeah. And I guess we're really going on a detours, but that's the whole point of this podcast is we're just gonna go in every and anywhere. Yeah. Any other I guess fun things that you do around the holidays, treats that you're making? I'm kind of curious because as you've heard so far, like we all have different interests, but also we find commonalities between them. And actually, when Jin was saying that she's not a candy person, I suddenly thought she might have been. If we all were kids and went trick or treating together, she would be the most popular one because she'll just get all the treat and then we'll just take it from her. So yeah, I don't know. I have fun with this group, and I wish that I knew all of you sooner. But it's awesome that we're all here today, especially in this space. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm learning a lot from all of you, especially about Halloween. I really don't give Halloween much of a thought. It's something that is with me like since I was a kid because stores would decorate themselves. The window displays is always kind of fun, and there's Disney movies and everyone's talking about it, but I never really was a participant. And then not until I started hanging out with friends who do like dressing up that I realized it's a thing. It's the same as Christmas sweaters. It was never a thing to me until everyone at work started wearing it for parties. And then I'm like, oh, I actually want an ugly sweater now. But yeah, I think as someone who kind of grew up in a very straightforward way, I'm gonna go out a straightforward way, as in, I just do everything by the books. You go to school, you go to work, you come home, you sleep, and you don't think about anything else. I think the last 10 years has been very eye opening, especially being here in the Bay Area. And it's strange because I think growing up in Northern California, in Central Valley, the Bay Area is always like that place, kind of just out of reach. I don't know how to describe this feeling, but it's like it's the city, right? And everyone calls it the city. And it's not a place that we go to unless we need to, I don't know, go to City Hall and get paperwork, which is a whole other episode, I think. And there's that sort of mystery about the city, but at the same time, it's like I don't feel like I belong in the city. Um, and then it's not until I've actually moved here and experienced all of this and meeting people who are like me, like the 3 other ladies who are here with me today, that I finally feel like, oh, this is a place that I could belong in. So have you ever felt that way? I mean, we have people here who also moved in to the Bay Area, or someone who's lived here, her entire life. There are people who moved in from other states, other countries. Like, what are your thoughts about the Bay Area?
I do think that one of the wonderful things about the Bay Area, because I'm sure we'll talk about plenty of things that are maybe not as wonderful, is everybody does belong here. And even if you don't feel it immediately, and it's always hard when you come somewhere new, or you're coming somewhere new. I mean, especially I cannot imagine what it's like to come from another country, and I like hearing those experiences means so much to me, and I think that's a part of what makes us all belong is learning from others and their experiences, and being able to learn. I don't know if I guess empathy for others through those experiences, and also just all the different cultural identities. It is a melting pot here. Not to say that we don't run into a lot of the very real problems that have been in the news over the past couple of years. Not to say that racism is not alive and well here, because unfortunately it is. But on the other hand, you can find your community. You can find others from a similar background. But what I think the best part is finding those that are not from the same background and being able to learn in that way as well. And for me, growing up in small towns in middle America, even though I'm white, I never felt like I belonged in those places. I came from a more liberal family. We always had very different ideas than most of the people we were living around. I remember even 10 years ago, the state I spent the most time in, one of my friends telling me they still didn't believe in recycling. And so it's kind of like, it's weird. It's just really interesting to see how different pockets of America, or even different pockets of California can be. And I agree, it took me some time to find my people, to find this group here, and as sad as I can be about not knowing you all before, at least I have you now. And I think that's, we have a lot of fun learning about each other, and finding out that what's normal for someone else definitely is not normal for someone else. And it's a beautiful thing. And just even where I specifically live, there's not a lot of outward holiday celebration. My neighborhoods, there's not really decoration for Halloween or Christmas or anything, but in turn, that means that, my Target has even better sales the day after the holidays and stuff like that. So, it's all really interesting. But also, on back to what Katrine was saying, I'm not a city girl. I used to think when I was younger, I very much romanticized the city. I was like, oh, one day I'll live in San Francisco. It's going to be amazing. And now I dread having to go in just the parking alone. So I'm really just fascinated when people have to live there. When I talk to people who are like, I can't imagine not living in the city. And I'm just over here dreading it. So I don't know. There's amazing things there. There's things I like to do, things I like to eat, see. Even people watching is just that much more interesting in the city. But my God, I was built for the suburbs. I found that out. So
I will say that I agree with you. I as well am built for the suburbs. Nothing against the city. I'm the one here who's native to the Bay Area. I've lived in different places of the Bay Area, currently on the peninsula within the Silicon Valley area. Not a cheap place to live. Not saying I'm rich. I probably I would think that I earn decent money, but I could be below the poverty line over here. I've grown up in the East Bay. I've had family in San Francisco. I've lived in the East Bay, lived in San Francisco. Now living in the peninsula. I can relate to what Katrina was saying about the Central Valley. I lived there for a couple of years when I was going to school, and it was so weird to me because the Bay Area is not that far away. But when I was there, people would speak as if it was another state. People would tell me stories when I went to San Francisco, back when I went to San Francisco kind of thing. And I was like, I was in San Francisco last weekend. It's probably a 2-hour drive or less without traffic. And it was the weirdest thing to me. it felt like the Central Valley area was so far away from the Bay Area, and it was kind of like another world. I tell people sometimes, like, it's still Northern California, but it's different. If you guys ever get to experience that, same thing with Northern California versus Southern California. Like, that is kind of like, sometimes I think we should just be different states, because there's a lot of disagreements between Northern and Southern California. I will say Northern is better. That is not a biased opinion. But I do love the Bay Area. With all of the quirks that it has, like Lucia was saying, you can find your community here. There's still a lot of problems and a lot of progress that we still need to make here. But I can't imagine living anywhere else. Like, I've been to other states, other cities. I love San Francisco from a distance. Like Lucia, so I lived in San Francisco for a couple of years, multiple times when I was living with family, and it's very difficult. Like, the parking is weird. I can't park in front of my own house. That was very frustrating. And some days you can't park because there's garbage, not the garbage removal, the street cleaning. Street cleaning, all the signs, there's like 5 million signs about parking that you have to read like a novel before you can park into the space. I actually did a presentation in college about parking in San Francisco because it was so frustrating. But I like going into the city for all the fun activities and events that they have, and then going home away from the city. So I like being within a commutable distance of the city, but not living in the city. I also like being able to walk to my car and feel okay. Yeah, the city has changed a lot. I guess especially during the pandemic, it wasn't always this. Like, it's not always been the safest place in the first place, but it's a little bit weird now because times have changed. It also looks a little bit like the how can I put this? Kind of like the Wild West with like tumbleweeds blowing by, because there's been a lot of smash and grab robberies during the pandemic, and then a lot of stores went out of business. So when you go out there, there's a lot of shopkeepers who are very cautious about their clientele that come around, and there's a lot of stores that are just missing. There's a lot of empty storefronts, which is kind of sad. Like, it was a very lively city, and it's kind of, I think it's trying to get back up there now that things are opening up again. But yeah, the Bay Area is a fun place to be. I guess all of us are in agreement though, like, maybe don't live in the city. But if that's what you want to do, you can. I mean, yeah, try it, experiment. Maybe don't get into a long-term lease, just to try it out. Do an Airbnb maybe, like for a month. There you go. I guess that's our 2 cents on it. Or that's mine.
For me, I think one of the biggest thing I appreciate about the Bay Area is the diversity. So as Lucia mentioned, and also Crystal mentioned earlier, like, you can always find people from different backgrounds and even find people from similar backgrounds from you. And I do find it very fascinating because as one single person, I have very limited life experience. And it always inspires me to listen to different life stories from people I met here in the Bay Area. It doesn't matter how close we are. It can just be some strangers I met on the street or in a restaurant. But it's really, I think it enriches my life. Yeah, that kind of feeling I really like about that. But on the other hand, I also feel, I'm not sure if it's me, just because I feel I'm kind of always trying to seek different experience. So I don't really feel I belong anywhere. That kind of feeling. I'm not sure if other people have experienced that. But I do really appreciate every single moment I spent here living in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I think that sense of belonging, I think we all have a different definition for it. Because in a way, I also feel like I've never had that, oh, I belong here. Like, I'm never confident that I belong, whether physically in a location or just my personality with others. But I think the nice thing about, I guess, being in this environment is that I can find different sort of belonging in different groups. And I think that's what everyone here was saying, being able to find, your group. It's really like, like if you need to be somewhere quiet, you can find that here. If you need to go to a party, there is a party scene here. Like, I mean, no matter who you are, there's something here for you. And it's such a nice place to explore, and be and be able to access, I think, different kinds of lifestyles and different types of experiences. And I think that's what's so valuable about big cities to begin with, but especially in the Bay Area, where things are changing so rapidly. I mean, just being here for 8-9 years, I felt like I've been through like different eras, just with the tech boom and then the pandemic and people leaving, people coming in, people leaving. I mean, that has been a repeating trend, and ultimately it's just nice to find people who also share that kind of uncertainty. I mean, I would love for everybody to be very certain about their lives and about themselves, but I think finding people who are like me, who aren't sure, is actually kind of nice. And to be able to kind of shape who I am here because of the people that I've met. I think if I had stayed, in one place, for example, in the Central Valley where I'm from, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish the things that I had in the last few years. I wouldn't, for example, know how to start a podcast or find the people who are willing to do this with me. So it's a fun experience. I mean, I have to admit that I started off a little bit skeptical about the Bay Area, just because, kind of like what Crystal was saying, even though we're only 2 hours drive away, there's that feeling that, that's a whole other country, for a lack of a better word. And I definitely felt that, especially because we went to the same university, and the discussion is always, let's carpool back home. I went to school in the older days, I guess, where there are still physical bulletin boards where you pin index cards asking for carpools back home to the Bay Area, because this is before the internet and social media became really big. I mean, we have come a long way, especially, speaking about social media, with technology bringing us closer. And I don't know, it's been very interesting for me to kind of be an observer, but also now as a participant in the Bay Area lifestyle. Yeah, and I don't know, any last thoughts? I mean, we're kind of heading towards the end of the episode, but any thoughts about Bay Area, Boba, Halloween, all the things that we've talked about today?
I guess to wrap it up, Bay Area, Boba, Halloween. We have it here in the Bay Area. You could do it all at once. You could have Boba on Halloween in the Bay Area. And they might have like a themed one, like maybe there's a pumpkin boba, right? Maybe Starbucks will make a pumpkin spice boba.
Oh my!
I see that coming. Yeah, I see that coming.
Pumpkin spice. Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Actually, I feel like I'm seeing less pumpkin spice advertisements this year. I don't know why, but I know that it's out there. And while I was kind of tired of it a few years ago, I don't know. This year I'm up for some pumpkin spice for some reason. I just want to get into the holiday. So
I remember several weeks ago, it was the International Coffee Day, and there was some big promotions from some breweries. No, I don't think it's called brewery, is it? Roasters. Yes, roasters, yeah. And I do purchase some pumpkin spiced coffee from online, yeah. As a big supporter.
I am also a pumpkin spice supporter, and picked up not any fancy like from a roaster, but I saw at Target they had some of the Starbucks pumpkin spice for 50%. Sorry, Target. We are fancy here. Target, Starbucks, 50% off pumpkin spice. So I did pick up a little bit of that, and I was pretty excited to brew some up. So we can definitely get you into the holiday pumpkin style.
I like that. I feel like it's about that season, right? Like going into the mall and you smell the pumpkin spice cookies and breads being, baked, and the candles. I'm definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it for our very, very first Boba Pod. We're gonna call these episodes Boba Pods because it's cute. and and we are planning to do these once a month. And hopefully you will continue to join us on this conversation. Make sure to follow us for new episodes. We are at Boba Bunch in most places. And yeah, let us know what you want us to talk about. Otherwise, we're just going to talk about boba all the time. This could be an endless discussion. But yeah, thanks for listening, and hope everyone's gonna enjoy a wonderful Halloween with or without horror movies. All right, see you next time. You were listening to the Boba Bunch Podcast, hosted by Katrine, Lucia, Crystal, and Jin. Intro and outro music by Audio Coffee on Pixabay. Sound effects by Dreams to Become on Pixabay, and originals recorded by Katrine. Produced and directed by Katrine Chow. And made with love in the San Francisco Bay Area. Happy Halloween!